friends, Paula here. Welcome back to my channel, The Flavorful Home. I'm participating in March Canning Madness hosted by Constance over at Cosmopolitan Cornbread. I'll put a link in the description box so that you can go and check it out. I am doing blueberry pie filling, and the recipe was from the USDA and National Institute of Food and Agriculture Guide to Home Canning. It's in Guide to Selecting, Preparing, and Canning Fruit and Fruit Products. And as you can see here, I'm sharing what is needed. They give you the recipe for either 1 quart or 7 quarts of blueberry pie filling. And you have to obviously wash and drain your blueberries, and you put 6 cups at a time in 1 gallon of boiling water. I did not have 7 quarts. I had enough for 2 quarts and 1 pint, which is fine. You can do 1 pint in the canner with your quarts. It doesn't hurt it. And mine was the blueberries, granulated sugar, clear gel, which you don't use cornstarch when you're making pie filling. Cornstarch is not an allowable item to use in canning. So I used my Cook type clear gel. It called for cold water, bottled lemon juice, and if you really want to, it also says you could use blue food coloring and red food coloring. I did not add any food coloring. It's totally not necessary. And you could see I'm doing my blueberries in sections as it instructs. And you just give it a quick blanch, wait for the water to come back up to boil again, and then add your next batch of blueberries in. It is really easy. It is not complicated at all. It is so delicious, and it is so awesome to have pie filling on your pantry shelf. Nothing better. Okay, coming up, you're going to see how to make the gel. You add your clear gel, add your water, and if you choose, your food coloring, and you're actually going to cook it like pudding, like you would make pudding. And it'll start thickening and bubble. And once this is cooked on medium-high heat, once it starts to thicken and bubble, then you add your lemon juice and you cook it for 1 minute. You could see I really get in there with the whisk. I don't, obviously you don't want any lumps, so I really was working it. And you could see it starts to thicken up, which is kind of cool. I'm not a big fan of making pudding because the constant stirring while you're waiting for it to thicken. You have to just stand there, which you have to do like this too. You do not want to walk away from this. It'll stick, you'll get scorching. It'll be ruined, so you need to stay on top of it. And as you could see, it thickened up so nicely, and now I'm dumping in my bottled lemon juice. That's what you're using here, not fresh squeezed. Use the bottle. It has the controlled acidity, which is what is needed in canning recipes unless the recipe says otherwise. And then you're just giving it a good mixing, And for 1 minute, you let it go. And then you get ready to add those beautiful blueberries. And you'll see it all comes together so quickly. You gently fold it all in, and before you know it, you are ready to start canning up your pie filling. Okay, once your blueberries are folded into the pie mixture, you're ready to start your canning. Now, I keep my jars in my steam canner. You want the jars hot because your contents are hot. You don't want to shock your jars. And I know this goes without saying, but make sure your jars are fully washed, your bands are washed, and your lids are washed. And I'm using 4-jar lids. It also calls for putting the lids in simmering water. And your headspace is 1 inch. And now I'm going to tell you about pie filling and how it could be a bit of a scotch because it expands. I went just a bit under 1 inch headspace because of the expansion on that. And you don't want to have any leaking of your pie filling contents. So just a little bit below and you should be fine. Pie filling is a little bit tricky, and the more you do it, you kind of learn all these little tips that all the other canning mamas have shared, and it's a good one because it can be very frustrating when you put all your hard work into it and then you open it and you find that your contents have leaked out or a lid has popped off. It's very rare that that happens. And once I get my headspace, I obviously use my pokey tool to debubble and make sure all the air is out, and if it needs adjusting, I do that. And then I use my handy dandy little pump that I bought to keep my white vinegar in, and I give my jar rim a really good wiping. It's sweet, you have sugar, you want good contact, things like that, and things that have fatty content. You want to use that vinegar and wipe to get it nice and clean so you have a good connection between the jar lid and your jar. And you could see I'm really pushing that filling down. I'm making sure I'm getting all the air bubbles out, and I will make any adjustment that needs to be done. Now we're ready to put the lids on. I did wipe the rims. You could see that paper towel there is a little pinkish purple from the excess. You put the lids on and then you put the bands at fingertip tight. You don't want to screw it on too hard. That's not a good thing. The lids could buckle. Just enough to where you start to feel a give, or if the jar does start spinning is when you know you've tightened it enough. It's not a very hard screw down at all. And then into the canner they went. For my elevation, I'm at just a hair above 2,600 feet. I had to do it for 35 minutes. And the quarts needed, the pints needed 35 minutes too, so it didn't matter. But you can do pints in with quarts and process for the quart time. That's okay. If it doesn't specify a quart time, you can't try to figure it out on yourself because there is a science to it. So I got 3 jars, processed beautifully, and I'm happy to say it was all a successful canning session. I had a 100% sealing on all of them. I have never had a issue with 4 jars lids at all. As you can see, I lift all of them, I give them a little bit of a shake, and they're just fine. By the way, that little mat I got from Hobby Lobby. They were so cute. They were out at Christmas, and I got a fall one. And now I'll just have to go back to Hobby Lobby and get a spring mat too, because it makes it nice for the cans to rest on. The jars, because you don't want to put them on a cold counter. And there you go. You have blueberry pie filling, and I will put all the details in the description box for Constance and for March Canning Madness. Thanks for watching. Until next time, go create something wonderful. Bye-bye now.